A special Christmas Day game that could decide it all and the future of this team as they get ready for the postseason run. It's all on the line today on Locked On Chiefs.
From the land of the free and the home of the Chiefs, this is the Locked On Chiefs podcast.
Welcome in, everybody, to this special pre-Christmas show. We hope that you're ready for it. We certainly are. We're brought today by Prize Picks. You can get in there and get it all at prizepicks.com/LockedOnNFL. Use our code LockedOnNFL in all lowercase, and you can win $50 instantly when you play. $5. Go check it out at Prize Picks. The prize right now that the Chiefs are looking for is very, very specific, and it starts with a 1, and there ain't nothing else to it. So that's what we are focused on. He is Chris Clark from Chiefs Corner. You can check him out over there at kcchiefscorner.com. I'm Ryan Tracy, the founder of Rogue Analytics and Performance Consulting, where the Matrix will be coming out when it comes to draft time, so start getting ready. Then NFL33.com. You should see my piece on Belichick, see what you guys think of that. And then RGR Football. So if you please check those out, make us your first listen. Thank you very much. You everydayers already do, but make us your another Locked On show your next listen. If you please would, we would appreciate it. Thank you for being everydayers. If you want that much more, you can get it at the text line at 816-357-8781, and we appreciate it very much. We are going to run down the X factors, the guys that can make the difference in this ball game, and give you our predictions for the Christmas Day game on Netflix for the Steelers coming up a little bit later. We're going to tell you the must-win matchups. How do they get to that victory? We'll lay it all out for you coming up here in a little bit, but we start at the place that is most important, especially coming off of a game where they looked a little bit better on offense. This is about the number 1 seed. And a lot of media have not covered it this way yet because Chiefs fatigue is what I'm calling it. But if they win this ball game, they get the number 1 seed, period. End of story. No questions. No one cares about what the Bills do after that. It's sealed because they will get to 15 wins, period. That makes the difference. And so I think for everything else that we can talk about lineup-wise or who's going to be here or what they're going to do and where they're going to do it, it's just to get that number 1 seed, right?
It is. And we have to look at this a little bit differently than we normally do. Normally, our preview is the last show before we end up with the game. This one's going to be a little bit different. We're going to have the crossover tomorrow, and that is going to be out there on Christmas Day for you to watch before the game. When you look at this game and when you look at what it means for the Chiefs, Kansas City has now won 14 games 3 times under Andy Reid, which is phenomenal. And I mean, it started obviously with the 16-game season, so a little bit different there with the third game. But chance to get to 15 doesn't happen very often, and you could literally be going home after the game and celebrating Christmas as the AFC's number 1 seed, and basically have almost 3 weeks off until you really have another meaningful game, because you'll play the Denver Broncos, but most of the starters are likely not going to play in that game.
I certainly hope not. I mean, it's not worth it. As we've been talking about, this whole season, and much to our consternation, has been about getting to this point to get the 1 seed, to get the time off because you had the early bye. That's been the focus this whole season. This winning ugly thing, winning close games thing, that's why they've taken it in stride, because they haven't been going all out. They just needed to sustain enough momentum to get W's to get to this point. They get this win, and I do believe Andy will break with tradition, rest his starters more than most, maybe completely, which is what I would do, and just shut it down for a while, because it's been a long time on these legs. It was not lost on me that Patrick Mahomes, when he gave his package of goodies for Christmas to his linemen, included leg compression outfits so that you can get that recovery, because that's what it's coming down to. Compression chambers, deprivation chambers, sleep cold stuff, all the things that go into making it through.
Yeah, and just for full clarity here, we already recorded the crossover episode. We're recording this on a Monday night for Tuesday. We've already done the crossover episode for Wednesday. So we did the injuries as best we could. But the whole reason I point that out is because you talk about things of injuries, and you talk about the wear and tear on the NFL body. One of the subjects that we talked about in the crossover, and this is a huge key, is how pissed off some of the players on the Chiefs and the Steelers are about the schedule, because they're playing 3 games in 11 days. And the Chiefs haven't had a bye since week 6. That's the major problem here.
Yeah.
And they're going to be going into this game, and I want to be clear on this before I say it. Chris Jones is likely out this game. I've heard that people are thinking he's probably out to the playoffs, which kind of makes sense to me if they don't want to risk it. So whatever. But so he likely wouldn't have played anyway. But there's no chance he's playing in this game with as short as the week is. DJ Humphries is probably not going to be playing this game. I would imagine Shamari Connor's probably not going to be playing this game. Jawan Taylor may not play in this game. Injuries are going to be an issue, and you're going into this on limited rest. And let's not forget, you have the best quarterback in the world coming off a game where he played well, but he was still injured coming into the game. And I guarantee he's not over it.
Yeah, no, you're absolutely right. And I think it all comes back to getting over it, the physicality of it, the mental grind of it. The Steelers had a week 9 bye. So it's not like they were like 11, 12, but that's 3 weeks more recently than the Chiefs have had a week off. So they have the advantage, and doing everything that you can do to get that and maintain that advantage is certainly very, very important, and could come down to being the meaning of the game.
Yeah, it definitely could. And I think that you look at how this is going to play out. Kansas City is playing for the number 1 seed. The Steelers are playing for a chance to be the number 2 seed and to win the AFC North. Lots of different things on the line for the Steelers at this point. Huge game for them. And it does sound like they're going to be getting back George Pickens. It sounds like they're probably going to be getting back Larry Ogunjobi. TJ Watt's going to be playing. They're getting healthier. It sounds like the only people that may not play in this game for the Steelers that would be of large note would be Joey Porter Jr. If he doesn't play, obviously that's a loss for them at the corner position. But getting back George Pickens is a huge deal for their offense.
He is their offense. I mean, he's their passing game. Haven't been able to do anything without him. And yet at the same time, Jay Will's going to have a rough game. George Pickens can out-accelerate him. We'll talk about that coming up. But it is still a fairly narrow what that offense can do succinctly to attack you. I still believe, even if they have to manufacture pressure, shall we say, that they're going to be able to do that. That is going to be one of the matchups, and we will discuss that here very shortly coming up, because we have to get to the X factors later, our predictions, and next we're going to go through the must-win situations in order to get this dub. Now, this time of year, it all is on right now, and the NFL playoffs are about to start. It's not too late to get into the regular season action with FanDuel, America's #1 sportsbook, because it is still going on. Right now, new customers, if you get in there and finish the season strong, you can get $250 back in bonus bets if your first $5 bet wins. Just get in there, get after the action, and get into it, because that's what you're looking to do. Not only can you bet on who will win the game, but FanDuel also has things like which player scores the first touchdown, how many points for each team goes up, the whole 9 yards. You can get it all to get the W. And I love betting on which players are going to score, because especially with this team, you never quite know. So just visit FanDuel.com right now to join today. You can use FanDuel.com at your chance to win $250 in bonus bets. Make every single moment more with FanDuel, an official sportsbook partner of the NFL. And that is how you get down to the nitty-gritty and get after what this game has to be. For me, the number 1 matchup you have to win, or at least, let me put it this way, you have to break even. You have to work to a draw at the tackle positions, and I do mean both of them. If this scenario comes down, you have Joe Thuney, an elite left guard playing left tackle for you, and the guy that they won't play at left tackle is likely to start for you at right tackle. So it's not about the interior 3, although Frank Caliendo probably can't play ball at all. Mike has been doing an admirable job trying to step in for Joe Thuney, but that's still a disadvantage. That's 3 positions out of the 5. They're degraded at this point against TJ Watt and Highsmith, and most importantly, Cam Hayward, that I think, especially at the guard spot, is going to bother you. That all comes back to the tackles. If you can get DJ Humphries onto the field, great. If you can get Jawan Taylor back, great. I think right now it is looking pretty iffy if you can get one, certainly both, of those starting tackles back onto the field. But they got to do everything they can, because if not, you have to chip, you have to leave tight ends in, you have to run 12, a whole lot more personnel packages than you want to. And I think that is one of the things that will slow down this game.
You know, the other thing you have to do is you have to get the ball out quick. And one of the things that Mahomes did very well this last game against the Texans is they got the ball out quick. And if they do that, if he can get the ball out in 2.5 seconds or less, they're going to be in good shape. Are they going to be in great shape? No, because you're still going up against two of the best pass rushers in the NFL, the best pass rush tandems and getting quickest pressure in the NFL in Highsmith and TJ Watt. Watt is generally always going to play on the right side or against your right tackle. They do switch him over very rarely, but generally speaking, he's going to be playing on the same side as Jawan Taylor or in this case, maybe Wanya Morris. And that is not a matchup that I think any Chiefs fan is probably going to be excited about. So huge for them to be able to play 12 personnel and chip and get the running back to maybe give a little bit of help as well, coming out of the backfield at times in the passing game. But the bigger thing is you have to watch out for a Cam Hayward. You have to watch out for the interior being disrupted, because right now you're in a situation where you have two guys that are three guys almost, I would say, are really close to arguing for all pro at both guard positions and center. But if Caliendo is in there at guard, that's a huge step down. And his communication with Creed Humphrey, when you have a guy like Cam Hayward against you, is a problem.
Yeah.
They don't have enough chemistry. They don't have enough time together. That can be a problem. And Caliendo is going to struggle against a guy like Hayward on a regular basis.
Yeah, I think he certainly will happen from time to time. The other matchup that I think is critical in this one is not about necessarily getting after George Pickens, because he is coming back, but he is a lot of their passing offense. He's averaged about 68 yards over the last 5 games. He's got a pair of touchdowns in it against Cincinnati and against Washington, but was one of the few that against the Baltimore defense that's been coming on lately was able to put up nearly 90 yards, an above 11 a clip there. He certainly hit a stretch during the season that I think has got his numbers a little bit boosted against the Raiders, the Jets, and the Giants all in a row. That will pump up your numbers if you're the number one receiver on a Russell Wilson offense. So let's bite off a little less than we can chew. But I do think that it's a tough matchup for Jay Will. I'm not sure if I want to put Trent McDuffie on him full time or if I want to make him make plays against what is a bracketed zone coverage over the top of him. Which would you prefer?
It's tough because the reality is it's the question of how well he can run. And if he can run like he normally can, then I think that you have to try to bracket him. And that's what you do. And you try to bracket him and you try to take him away that way. The problem that you're going to run into is when Pickens plays, he brings the other guys up with him. And what I mean by that is a guy in Calvin Austin who is a okay receiver by himself, when he becomes your 2 or 3 as your option at wide receiver, it significantly allows him to do different things, and his speed and his ability to play in the slot really helps this offense. So I do think that Pickens is going to be a guy that's going to change the offense because of himself, but also because he's going to elevate the wide receivers around him, because the other wide receivers don't have to play a level up more than they're normally accustomed to. And the bigger thing to me that Pickens is going to bring to this, and then Calvin Austin brings to this as well, is the deep ball. If Russell Wilson is able to hit a deep ball or two in this game, it completely changes what Kansas City is able to do. Because the reality is if you can take the deep ball away from Russell Wilson, you can keep this to be a short passing game, and him trying to beat you on a down-to-down basis and getting 5 or 6 yards or maybe even 10 yards in the pass versus a 20 or 30 or 40, 50-yard pass down the field, that allows you to keep your safeties down in the box, which is going to allow you to help stop Najee Harris, which should slow down the running game, which is what Kansas City's been doing great at all season. And it becomes even more imperative this week without Chris Jones, because when you don't have that pass rush, you're going to need that extra half second on a 3rd and 7 or a 3rd and 8 versus a 3rd and 4.
Yeah, that's fair. And now I won't say that they've ruled Chris out. He hasn't been practicing, but if I know Chris Jones, I'm not sure he wants to miss a game like this. So I won't put it past him when we wake up on Christmas morning and unwrap some gifts. One of them might be Chris Jones. I don't know. But it comes down to the fact that you have to be able to play your defense no matter who's lined up against you. And I don't think right now that anything knocks that out. So then the shift comes to offense, and I think they have to pick up on what we saw last week. And the other must-win matchup, especially if Joey Porter Jr. is out, you have to win with Xavier Worthy and Hollywood Brown. D-Hop's going to be D-Hop. We know he's going to get his passes. But those two guys have to take the next step forward together.
They absolutely have to. And one of the things that we talked about in the crossover, and you'll see this on tomorrow's show, so be sure to watch the crossover episode on Wednesday. But one of the things that Chris Carter talks about is that he thinks that without Joey Porter Jr., that the Steelers could go to more zone. And I'm sitting there licking my chops, saying that is music to my ears, because if they play zone against Patrick Mahomes, he is going to eat this Steelers defense for lunch. The reality is he is very good at diagnosing where the zone, what zones they're playing against him, and he's going to know exactly where he used to go the ball before the snap, which is even more important than anything else, because then he can get the ball out quickly. He knows exactly where he's going to be looking, and his guys, generally speaking, even Xavier Worthy has shown it at times this year to be able to find the soft spots in zones. And that is so huge when you start talking about the playoffs and you start talking about playing zone beaters and playing against zone defenses, when you're talking, winning in the playoffs and playoff defenses.
Yeah, and we can't underestimate the effect that DeAndre Hopkins has had on pushing Xavier. And there's no one else better to learn from reading zones and being able to attack them in the gaps than DeAndre Hopkins. So it has been a very, very rough road to wide receiver this year, but there are hidden benefits of it, and that tutelage is one of them. But you still have to have guys that stand out. You still have to have guys that raise their game in games like this, going after the 1 seed. Who are the X factors, and what do we think happens? That's coming up next.
Today's episode is sponsored by Prize Picks. If you love watching the game, you're going to love Prize Picks, the easiest, most exciting way to play daily fantasy football. Whether it's football, basketball, or any of your favorite sports, Prize Picks makes your holidays bigger and brighter. You can now win up to 1,000 times your money on Prize Picks. Plus, this holiday season, they're giving away $30+ million in rewards during Pickmas and offering 2 free picks in December. And when your pick hits, Prize Picks makes it easier to cash out. You can get your money in as fast as 15 minutes. This week, I'm looking at Jared Goff for more than 230 yards passing and Saquon Barkley for more than 1 touchdown. It's quick, simple, and so much fun to challenge myself and my friends. Download the Prize Picks app today and use code LOCKEDONNFL to get $50 instantly after your first $5 lineup. That's right, $50 instantly when you play just $5. Prize Picks, run your game.
Did Rocket Money help you find any subscriptions you forgot about or that you were paying for twice? They definitely happened to me, and they helped a lot. There's a few subscriptions I didn't even realize I was still paying for. Rocket Money made it easy to track them all down. It's like having a personal assistant on your finances. Rocket Money is a personal finance app that helps you cancel the unwanted subscriptions, monitoring your spending, and helps you lower your bills and everything that you're spending to grow your savings. It brings everything together in one place, helps you, whether it's your subscriptions, your spending habits, or your goals that you want for this year. Rocket Money has 5 million users, and they've saved over 500 million in canceled subscriptions, saving members up to $740 a year when they're using the app's premium services. Cancel your unwanted subscriptions right now and reach your financial goals faster with Rocket Money. Go to rocketmoney.com/lockedon today. That's rocketmoney.com/lockedon. rocketmoney.com/lockedon. Folks, want to say Merry Christmas and Happy Holidays to all of you. Do us a favor, give us a present, like this video, subscribe to the channel, and hit us on the text line at 816-350-787-81. And go check out another Locked On show for your next listen, watch, or whatever you're doing right now. X Factors are always my favorite part because sometimes it's just about matchup. Sometimes it's just about feeling and who's ready to step out from their shell. I'm going retro this time, though, because another guy that is coming back off of the injury list has hurt this team in the past, and it just bugs me, and I don't like him, and I don't like seeing him on the field, but Mike Williams is going to be on the field for the Steelers, it looks like, and that has been trouble in the past, especially if you're giving the attention to George Pickens. So an X factor to keep an eye on is Mike Williams, the former Chargers wide receiver.
Yeah, that's a huge X factor. He has a experience beating this Chiefs defense. That's a problem. He has size that almost no DB that the Chiefs have can match up against. Williams is probably your best bet, and that's still not a great matchup for Williams and on Williams. So I don't like that for everybody or for this team. I don't like that for this game. When you look at the wide receivers, Pickens comes in, and then he makes Williams the guy that could be your number 2 guy. Then you have Austin as your number 3 guy. That's a pretty decent receiver core. I'm not going to say it's great, but it's pretty decent. It gives you a good number one, and it gives you a guy that can challenge over the top and deep and get deep balls, and is very good at going and getting jump balls. The question I have, and when I start looking at X factors in this game, Alex Highsmith and TJ Watt, we've already talked about them. It's the other pass rushers that they have. It's Herbig. It's the one that they just traded for and added earlier this or earlier during the season, Preston Smith. They have pass rush in Pittsburgh. They're going to get after Mahomes. They're going to do whatever they can to get after Mahomes and make this about getting him off his spot and not letting him be comfortable and not letting him get outside the pocket. The problem Mahomes has is normally he can at least give you an extra second or two by evading a rush and getting out. This time, I don't know that he has the ability to do that. Go back and watch some of the plays he had the last game. Yeah, he had that good run, but he wasn't running when he didn't have to. He wasn't doing any extra motions that he didn't have to do. And I do think that ankle is still bothering him and is still going to be a factor in how he plays against the Steelers defense.
Shout out to Nick Herbig because he does play a great game. Undersized pass rusher. Actually went to my godson's high school on Oahu. That's St. Louis. Hope that he does well, just not in this ball game. Okay, Nick, just take it easy. The other guy on the defensive front that you have to respect because he's playing like he's 5 years younger than he is Cam Hayward. Played about 22 pass rush snaps last week, going to be back out there. And so it comes back into our original concept. If the tackles are not up to par, you can't rely on the interior, especially at left, knowing that Joe Thuney's out at left. So it's the entire front that can cause problems for you. So they have to shore that up. The X factor for this happens to be, for me, who's going to stay in and help block. And I think Ferkser had a good first game for this team. It was a little quiet last time, but he's a guy that I think can help chip, help knock guys back inside, and really help keep things contained for that 2.5 seconds, like you said, to deliver the ball and get it out of harm's reach, to tell you the truth.
Yeah, and I think he's got 2 games, so I think this would be his last game that he'd have eligible for the regular season. So it wouldn't shock me if he's eligible for this. And just a quick note, it seems like Peyton Hendershot is the guy that's coming back from injury on practice squad IR. I make that note because I do think he is going to play into possible potential playoff games because I do think they like him as well. So that gives them another guy that they can mix in there to do different things. I like what you're saying about Ferkser. I'm going to be curious to see how they use him. I honestly, and you and I kind of talked about this, I think, a little bit on yesterday's show. Maybe they go 6 offensive linemen at times. Maybe you come in and you do 15, 20% of your snaps with the 6 offensive linemen and try to help your guys out that way and try to go physical against this Pittsburgh team. You have 3 running backs that you can use to slow this game down and to just try to dominate that way. You don't have to win it through the air. I know everybody likes passing the ball. I get that. But this is a game you can go win on the ground, and maybe you're just running the ball for 3 or 4 yards every time. If you're getting a first down every 3 plays, it doesn't really matter as long as you're holding on to the ball. The biggest X factor in this game, and I said this on the crossover too, you have to win the time, or you have to win the turnover battle. If they do that, they'll win this game. If they don't win the turnover battle, more than likely you're losing this one. Pittsburgh is a team that you're not going to be able to lose to the turnover battle by more than 2 and have a chance to win. Mahomes has to be good with the ball. They can't put the ball on the ground when they're running it. So you have to take care of it. But the other guy that I'm going to say is an X factor for me, and the one that needs to have a big game in my eyes, Charles Minihue. Like, George Karlaftis had a good game against the Texans. He's going to have another good one because he's going to be the guy that's going to more than likely get double teamed now because Chris Jones is going to be on the field. And Minihue has to step up. He has to have a bigger game. He has to have bigger production. It's either that or you're going to have to blitz and send guys after Russell Wilson. And I don't think you're going to want to do that because Russell's going to be able to read that and probably react and beat you with it.
And he has seen it before. I completely agree with you. You have to be able to get pressure without having to send the house because he knows how to replace and how to throw hot, and they will do that. The last thing that's an X factor for me is that you have to bring your A game physically. This team is no joke. They will punch you in the mouth. They don't care if you punch back. You have to be able to grind on them. And personally, I feel that means you have to lean towards the run game a little bit more than you did last week. 20 carries exactly, split 9 to 11 between Pops and Hunt. I think Hunt looked good. At times, he just doesn't have that burst like we saw even earlier this season. Pops does, but Pops had a couple of vision issues last week. So you just have to keep finding the hot hand, but you have to stay on the ball, Andy, and keep calling the runs in order to slow down that pass rush as well. Grind them up a little bit. And I think that could be the tail of the tape that goes into time possession as well. It's a bit all over the place, but in the end, it all leads to what you're trying to do, and that's get a win. How do you see this happening?
I'm back and forth on this one. If Chris Jones is playing, I think Kansas City wins, and I think it's still going to be a close game. I don't think it's going to be something that they're going to win and they're going to win handily, but I think that they win. Right now, it's almost a toss-up for me, and it's a 2-point game, I think, on FanDuel, or 1.5 points on FanDuel, which makes sense. I mean, home field advantage, you get 3 points. So to me, I think it's one of those things where Kansas City has the opportunity to win this game. They have the opportunity to make a statement. They can go be the number 1 seed. They have everything that they wanted. When you go back into go back into June and July, when they're starting their meetings for the OTAs and they're prepping for the season, and then they have their team meetings at training camp, Clark Hunt comes in and says, our number 1 goal is we're going to go win the division. Our number 2 goal is we're going to try to be the number 1 seed. That is in front of you right now. That is everything you want to play for. All it takes is 1 win. And I'm going to throw, this isn't necessarily an additional X factor, but it is an additional person that I think could have a little bit of something to say in this game. I think Juju has a touchdown in this game, mainly because of who he's playing. Yeah. I think Andy's going to help Juju in this game, and I think that they're going to take advantage in getting him involved in this offense. I do think that, as we've talked about, they've kind of held him back because they want him there for the playoffs, because it doesn't matter how many wide receivers you have to have depth, and they are deeper at the wide receiver position than they've ever been right now at this point, and that's without a guy in Rashee Rice. So I think you feel good about that. To me, I think Kansas City still wins the game. I think they know everything is in front of them, and this is something that they're going to take advantage of, and they're going to know that if we win this game, we basically get 3 weeks off. If that doesn't get you motivated, I don't know what will at this time of year. Yep. But one thing you said that is very key, and it applies to every single team this Chiefs team has played, but it applies more so to the Steelers probably than anybody else. This team will hit you in the mouth. They don't care who you are. And this is basically their Super Bowl, like it has been just about every other game for the Chiefs this year. But the reality is, Kansas City has come out and won 14 of those so far. I'm betting they get to 15. I'm going to go 24-21 Kansas City.
I like it. That's pretty close to where I am in the score department. I do feel like the Steelers in general are a team slipping backward a little bit. They are fighting to hold on to their division. They are fighting to stay in the seed that they currently have. I don't know if they'll be able to hold on to that. We'll see what else happens. But this is a team that feels desperate to me. And I think that Spags is generally good at taking care of that. I think Andy is generally good at focusing in on what works. This and the Broncos game are tune-ups. Maybe this one more than the Broncos game, like you said, because you will have guys that don't play. This is honing the edge for the first round that you're going to be in the playoffs, and you have to do that. The defensive side, 17, 17, 7, and 19 are the last 4 games in points allowed. I don't think they go much over that. I have the Chiefs winning this 24-20 as they get to the next round and hopefully wrap that all up, no injuries, settle it down, shut everybody down that they can, and move on. We would love to hear what you think. What's your prediction for this Christmas Day game? Again, on Netflix. Don't forget that if you don't have it. Leave your predictions down in the comments here on YouTube. We would love to hear them. Make sure you like, sub, hit the bell on everything because we're everywhere all the time. What else you got?
Merry Christmas, everybody. That's all I really want to say. Merry Christmas and happy holidays. Thank you all for everything you do for us. We really appreciate it, that you give us the ability to do what we're doing. Thank you so much, and we hope that you have a very Merry Christmas and a happy holidays.
Yeah,
and we will be back after the game. Sorry, on Wednesday. We will have a post-game show for you after the game, and we'll have another show for you on Friday as well. So we will have you covered.
We will. For our 8th Christmas with you. Thank you for being with us. We appreciate everything that you do for us, and we will keep it rolling as the Chiefs keep it rolling towards the playoffs and as they get ready to take the next step forward in that three-peat run. Yes, it's still a reality. Let's get after it. Have a great holiday, and we will catch you next time.